The earlier the better. Self-determination and self-advocacy needs to be taught to students with autism in elementary school. It's very important because if you practice asking for things and how to do things, you're more likely to get those things. You're more likely to resolve conflicts and misunderstandings. Because what do you think happens to a lot of people when they don't advocate for themselves? They become what? Come on. I know. Don't worry about it. They'll get it later. I apologize. So what happens is you become frustrated. When I was younger, if I saw something like this, it would have been the end of the world. You know what? Deal with it. So I had a young man who was self-advocating with issues with it. What happened to him is he went to a fountain, the fountain sprayed all over him. He was convinced he was targeted for this. The reality was whoever went to that fountain next was going to get sprayed all over. It was a prank. And I had to walk him through it, asking for help first before having a meltdown about it, dealing with situations, because we're always going to have embarrassing situations, things that like the Southwest Airlines where you absolutely need to go somewhere else, but learning to deal with it step by step. So I walked him through, I did what's called metacognition. That's sort of a tongue twister. It's thinking about the thinking process, walking him through each step and getting him to think about it very proactively, and getting him to realize, you know what, this could have happened to anybody. And guess what happened? Unfortunately, but fortunately, he dealt with it well. A year later, guess what happened again? The fountain. Guess what didn't happen this time? No meltdown. So he learned how to deal with it. He came to me. I dealt with the situation. We got him a change of clothing. He was done. And middle school is the perfect place to start building the skills needed for transition to adulthood. Many people, when you see an IEP, individualized education plan, it says 14. What do you want to do with your life? When I was 14, I didn't know. When I was 16, I saw Top Gun, and now I'm really aging myself. I wanted to be a pilot. One small problem, no fine motor skills. Can you say career suicide? So it's a matter of building the skills over time to have a proper transition to adulthood. The sooner the better. Why do you think people should begin learning transition skills at the beginning of middle school? Anybody? Come on. Transition to high school. But what do I need to do in middle school? I'm going to give you a clue. It's right below this. Students need to do what? You need to go to multiple classes. You're not in the same class. You have to do it yourself. No one's going to follow you around. It's unrealistic. They're not going to have a one-on-one for everybody. Executive functioning skills need to be taught at the beginning of middle school because your workload is going to increase gradually. You're going to have more and more papers. When people don't have executive functioning skills, they're going to lose assignments, their grades are going to suffer, they're not going to be organized, they're not going to complete things on time. And social and academic and organizational skills become much more important in middle school. And I saw a lot of my students having difficulty with that, as I did at their age. Learning the art of advocacy. Most people with autism have difficulty advocating for themselves. Example of this is many years ago, I was at a Thai restaurant with my father. I'll give you the rated G version. I ordered a beef curry. I'm eating it. My face is turning red. I'm sweating profusely. He said, "What's wrong?" And I said it. I'm going to give you the G version. The other version's a lot more exciting. I'm not going to do it. So he said, if you order something, you should have what you want and not just eat it and suffer. So what I did in the future, if I got something, like say for example, drink, I'm Canadian, I don't like ice in my soda. That's a weird Canadian thing. If they give me ice in soda, I'm going to give it back to them, say, please could you give me a drink without ice? If I get a hamburger with cheese, please could you change this? Because you know what? It's a matter of you don't speak up, you're not going to change things or improve things for yourself. And students need to learn what it means to advocate. One of the problems that you find with people with autism, they don't know the difference between advocating for themselves and being aggressive. And that could be very, very dangerous. So what you need to do is have examples and non-examples of what self-advocacy is. Highlight them. Like parents could do this, family members could do this in a class, a teacher and assistant could do that. Showing them and to exaggerate the points, because when you exaggerate examples, it's going to be easier for them to see the different points that they need to learn. And it will be more entertaining and less intimidating for them. They need to watch videos of people self-advocating. You can find so many videos on YouTube. For older students, you could use Big Bang Theory, but you have to be careful of the innuendo in Big Bang Theory. Another example for younger kids, you could use Hey Arnold, which you could find streaming online, has good examples of self-advocation. They need to practice different scenarios which they will advocate for themselves. You give them an example and you have them do it step by step, and after they're finished, you want them to be a social pathologist, meaning they're going to analyze what they did and other people that were not involved will. Why am I going to have other people that are not involved also analyze the scene? By doing something, when you're involved with something, especially when you have autism, there's certain things you're going to miss out on that other people won't. And people with autism are very good at picking very small details out. And by doing and by analyzing, you're going to strengthen the skills. You're going to generalize the skills. That they will practice different scenarios. It's important to do it in different places. And the skill needs to be generalized not just in school, but at home and the wider community. Organization, the Tower of Babel. With a few exceptions, organization is an area of frustration for individuals that live with autism. With me, when I was in high school, my bag, I lost papers that I thought were lost forever. Guess what happened at the end of the term when I cleaned the bag out? I found them. And this is not unique to me. This is almost every student I've had. I've only had one student that was incredibly organized, and I wish I could have hired her as a personal assistant. She's better organized than me. And they do not write down assignments or take notes at times. The reason is, we'll say we have an incredible memory, which is true, but there's a problem with this. Preferential memory. I could tell you anything about movies, anything about history when I was a kid, anything about baseball or hockey statistics, whether you wanted to know it or not. Do you really think I cared about a homework assignment when I was younger? No. Example of this is, a few years ago, my wife wanted me to put wood chips on the lawn. I said, don't worry about it. I don't have to write it down. I have this incredible memory. I went, I was doing other things, out of sight, out of mind. Guess what happened? Go home, no bags of wood chips, nothing done. My wife went Ricky Ricardo. Now I'm really aging myself. Ricky Ricardo is an actor on I Love Lucy that was very expressive, like my wife. Homework assignments may not be completed. I worked with a student from Boca Raton High School that was very brilliant. He had 2 F's and several D's. Why? He had the Bobby McFerrin philosophy of homework. Don't worry, be happy until you get your progress report. And you're not happy, and you're worrying a lot. For older individuals, bills may not be paid or important errands may not be done. Grades are negatively impacted. I've seen this with many students. Simple organizational solutions. Keep a small dry erase board on the fridge. The reason is when you have like assignments and you see it visually, it's reinforcing to the person with autism. You could also use a tablet or phone to act as a checklist. Almost everybody has a smartphone now. You could use that for reminders. You could use your calendar. You could check it off. You could also get a larger dry erase board, which you could put somewhere else in the house and make a calendar for the month and chunk assignments and cross them off as you do it. So you're further reinforcing it visually, which is very, very important. Some have reminder functions with the computers and the smartphones. Don't procrastinate. Get more important things done first. You'll hear someone, but I want to do World of Warcraft or Minecraft. Is that going to get you to pass your classes? No. Not making a mountain out of a molehill. Setbacks are unpleasant situations are a part of life. They happen to everybody. Example of what happened to me, and I use this with my students. A few years ago, I spoke at University of Vermont. I went to Canada to visit family. I made the mistake of leaving back for Vermont to take my plane back the day after the female semifinals of the World Cup were over in Montreal. Guess what happened at the border? I waited 4 hours. I missed my flight by 10 minutes in Vermont. It was the first time I encountered rude people in Vermont or JetBlue. They told me, do it the next day. It only costs one way $670. In my mind, I told them what they could do with their $670. I said, get me a ticket from LaGuardia. I'll drive there. Guess what happened then? I missed my flight from LaGuardia by 15 minutes. But I had nicer people there. I wasn't charged again for a flight. I had to stay there overnight. I left at 5 in the morning. I dealt with it. I survived. Someone said, oh, it's so horrible. What other option did I have but dealing with it? Getting in a fetal position or flipping out was not going to help me. Strategies must be taught in dealing with difficult situations. Looking at the situation for what it is. Getting them to use metacognition to think about the situation. Is it really that bad? And then looking at step by step what you could have done differently or what solutions there are to the situation. If an individual has a meltdown, when they calm down, walk them through what occurred. Do not do it when they're having the meltdown. And with people with autism, meltdowns aren't just yelling and screaming, throwing things and rolling on the floors. With me, a meltdown is just shutting down. As they say in New York, forget about it, and that's what I do. I'm done. Wait until the person calms down, then deal with the situation. Teach them how, as I said, using metacognitive strategies. Go through step by step. What happened? Why did it upset you? What could you have done differently? How would the outcome be different? Looking at each step by step, being very methodical about it. Each time a person reacts well to adversity, give them specific praise. Why specific praise? It reinforces that behavior. If I told any of you that we're working in a job and you were giving your review and it said, good job, would that mean anything to you? Wouldn't you want to know why they felt that? For anybody who wants specific praise, Extending the comfort zone. Individuals with autism need to be encouraged or even pushed to do things they don't like. That there's things that I do that I don't like. My wife and daughter like going to the Rustic Inn. This is like an autistic torture place. It's this crap shack off of Griffin Road. Whenever it's someone's birthday, people knock the mallets in unison. My daughter and wife like it. Guess where I go once a year? And the same thing is with arts places. I hate going to these art supply places, but you know I do that. I've actually got my wife to watch a football game without complaining. And meltdown should not dissuade further attempts at non-preferential activities. It's taking steps. It's not making someone do something overnight. It needs to be gradually done. Over time, they'll become more socially flexible and be willing to try new things. They will make friends, but it takes time. High school, the training camp for adulthood. This is a time that the student with autism needs to think about what they're truly interested in. And it's not Pokemon, Minecraft, or World of Warcraft. Keep the eyes on the prize. Before they know it, the senior year of high school will arrive. Grades do count. Strong interests and strengths must be cultivated as utilizable skills. If they're into computer games or technology, get them to learn web design, web graphics, coding. This is something that Temple Grandin emphasizes whenever I've heard her speak about it. If a child's into computers, teach them coding. Teach them something that they could use in the real world. Because a lot of my kids will say, especially the males, oh, I'd love to test out video games. First of all, there's not many jobs for that. Second of all, it's an entry-level position. $9 an hour, and it ain't going to last forever. Get them something that is marketable. Life can't always be the things you enjoy. Deal with the serious matters first. When I was younger, I would read 101 books. When it came ready to write a paper, I'd be like someone with hair on fire. Yes, I did have hair at one time. And the social life minefield. This was really difficult when I was in high school because social skills are needed so much more in high school and college. I was sent to a regular sleepaway camp in order to grow socially. My parents wanted me to be, quote, with regular people, whatever that meant. But it helped me open up. It helped me learn different situations. It helped me develop friendships that I still have today, over 35 years later. Boarding school gave me an opportunity to be more social in a contrived situation. I had no choice but to be social. It was always there 24/7, whether you wanted it or not. I wanted a girlfriend but didn't know how to go about it. Hence, believe it or not, that was the inspiration for my book. Not so much me. I had a student that I was tutoring. He says, you know what, Mr. Miller, I'd like to go out with someone, but I don't know how to. There's no manual for me. So hence I wrote the book. It took me about a year to write the book. And I wrote it in a very methodical, practical way that gave real life situations. Even though I had friends, I was labeled as an encyclopedia in Higgins from Magnum PI, that I would tell these long-winded stories and bore my friends to death. Even when they had enough, I'd go on and on and on. Get a part-time job. It'll help developing skills and responsibilities. Because, you know, this will help you in college. This will help you in life. Learning to adhere to a schedule. People say people with autism love schedules. We don't love your schedules. We love our schedules. If I have students, if they could play video games 24/7, they would. If they didn't have to take showers, some of them would. If they didn't have to do the things they didn't want to, they would. I had a student, the one that went to dance, that admitted to me when he went to college, when he lived in the dorms, he'd be on the computer a lot more than his mother would know. And this is a reality. It's a very difficult thing because computers, as I'll talk about later, are a point of danger to people with autism. It's a double-edged sword. We love it for certain reasons. The same reasons we love it make it something that could become an addiction quite easily. That my wife calls my iPad my mistress. You could tell her it's not here tonight. And socialize as much as possible. Skills will be sharpened through experience and exposure. And start advocating for yourself. Parents will not be there always to do it for you. Racing to the finish line. Classes must be taken seriously. Every grade counts. Colleges will use grades as a significant part of the scale to get in. Students must acquaint themselves with the ACT or SAT and learn sound test-taking strategies. How I tell people to teach students with autism, make it a challenge. Make it like Minecraft or one of these games where you have to have a mission. Teach it as a mission, going step by step, telling them what they need to do. Make it something that they want to do, motivating it, because you can make things that seem very boring really fun. I did this with idioms. I did this with other skills that they needed. And within a month, I didn't have one student in my class that did not know idioms. And every one of them knew how to use them. And there are, by the way, some colleges that are not taking SATs or ACTs anymore. And those are things that you could look online according to college, which could maybe help with certain students because there'll be less stress. And utilize the services that will make your academic path easier. I've had students say, I don't want to use extended time, I don't want to do that, don't want to do that. So you want to become more stressed out. That's a positive thing. You know what? I used them until graduate school, then I stopped using them because I didn't need them anymore. But until you learn the coping skills and the test-taking strategies needed for success, use the services that are provided. To college or not is the question. Who did I steal that from? Come on. You were tortured with him in high school. Shakespeare. I won't be sued, he's dead. College. These are the things we need to know. Are they independent? Can they make mature decisions? Can they deal with little structure? No one's going to hold your hand in college. When I was here, I had to deal with several situations in undergrad that were very difficult. I had some support, but I had to advocate myself. I had a teacher lose several of my exams in a class when I was doing my bachelor's here. And he was going to give me a grade based on my first test. I have a photographic memory. I know what I got on those tests because I studied for the others. And I went to the Office for Students with Disabilities. We went to the Ombudsman and I dealt with the situation. If I did not advocate for myself, I would have gotten a grade that I did not deserve and not a fault of my own. He shouldn't have lost the tests. And can they reasonably deal with pressure? I had a lot of difficulty with pressure. I got good marks, but whenever a test happened, I'd think about the worst case scenario. I'd freak out. I'd get sick to my stomach. I'd think about what will happen if I didn't get the grade I wanted and how it would be this horrible situation. But over time, I learned to deal with it as I got older. I used a lot of ABA. Some people with autism take issue with it, which is, I understand, but I did my own ABA. One of the things that I did, I had a junky car. I thought someone would steal my car. This was before the days of the clickers. I'd go around my car like a border collie, checking each of the doors. People probably thought at the movie theater I either had issues or I was trying to steal the car. I would get nervous and freak out each time. My heart would beat when I went out of the movie theater. After several months of training myself, I realized this car is garbage. Please steal it. Take it from me. Please take my car. And dealt with it with other things that pressured me. Are they academically inclined? Not everybody should go to college. People that have the skills and have the behavior and temperament for it should go there.